I'd like to speak to the Portland Trailblazer fans this video, and hopefully a way that's informational to them, or really any NBA fan watching this, because a lot of times there's hostility on this channel between myself, other Heat fans, and the Trailblazers fans. But I do want to come from more of just a conversational perspective, because I do think that's how we advance as a society, is by talking, listening to other point of views. We're really hearing other point of views is the main thing. So let's have a discussion. So if you disagree with me, feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and we'll have a nice discussion today. So one of the most prominent questions I get from Trailblazer fans is, we have Dame under contract for 4 years. We are under no obligation to trade him. Therefore, why don't we just hold out until we get the best trade offer? Why don't we send him to the highest bidder, even if it's not Dame's preferred destination of the Miami Heat? And this isn't all Trailblazer fans. Some fans really like Dame, really kind of are angered with the front office and how they handled things. So they do want to see Dame get his preferred destination. And others are more of a happy medium, where they want Dame to be happy, but not at the price of getting fleeced. So I do think there's a reason that star player trades are near automatic when a star player requests out, and they typically get their preferred destination. And partly because when a team is trading for a superstar, they're not just trading for his talents. They're trading for essentially a new face of the franchise. They are putting their entire team in the hands of one guy. And with the superstar, they get paid the most money, they have the most fame, they have the most fans, they're the most polarizing typically, and the rest of the team typically goes as far as the leader goes, really in all walks of life. The last thing you want to hear if you're a franchise when acquiring, a star player, or really anybody, is, "I don't want to be here." Isn't that the old Eric Bledsoe tweet? He said something, I think he said, "Get me out of here," when he was in the hair salon, something like that. If y'all remember, that was one of the funniest NBA tweets. But anyways, you don't want to hear a star player, especially because they get paid the most money, say, "I don't want to be here." It really just kind of sets a negative attitude within the team, a negative atmosphere within the whole city almost. And I do believe the rest of the team will kind of follow that mindset. If a star player is on your team and he is not happy, by human nature, he's not going to work as hard. He's not going to go 110%. He's not going to put in all the extra effort. All three of those things mean the exact same thing. But I said them all to emphasize my point here. He will not work as hard on your team if he's truly not happy in his situation, because that is human nature. And if the leader of your organization is not setting the best example, I think the rest of the team will follow that. And then you're looking at a situation that's kind of pretty ugly. So of course, that's kind of why we've heard that no other offers are out there outside of the Miami Heat, because no other GM is really, I was going to say dumb. They're really not risky enough at this point to mortgage their entire future to get a guy who really doesn't want to be there. Now, yes, he may play. He's under contract for 4 years. Damian Lillard is not going to retire or sit out, lose all those millions of dollars. He's going to play. But I don't think his heart would fully be in it, and I don't think his mind would fully be in it. And there's been a lot of talk whether Dame would sit out or if he would play if he was traded to a team that's not Miami. But my question is, well, if he was going to play, then why wouldn't he just agree to stay in Portland if it wasn't Miami? I mean, it's pretty clear that Dame is in a situation right now where he's not really happy, and that's why he made his decision to request a trade. He's not going to go to a team that he's also not happy in and then decide to play there. He would really, I guess, give Portland an ultimatum saying, either send me to Miami or I'm going to stay in Portland. And that's not what we heard yet. This wasn't an overnight decision by Damian Lillard. This is the culmination of a decade plus of everything he's been told in Portland, all the promises that he was given, all the games that he's played, all the teammates that have come in and out. His decision to want out is, taking into account all of that. And I don't just think his mind about that will sort of change overnight or really within the next season. So yeah, maybe another GM will say, hey, Dame hasn't been here yet. Once we get him in our system, we can convince him. But that's a huge risk. I mean, Damian Lillard is already 33 years old, and he's going to be getting paid, $50+ million for the next 4 years. All ending with him making $62 million at the age of 37. That is a huge, huge risk. Not to mention that if Portland was to accept an offer outside of Miami's, it would have to be substantially better just from a PR perspective. They would need to justify saying, hey, we didn't send Dame to his preferred destination because the package we got is way, way better. So that means that another team would have to send 4 first-round picks, a couple nice young players, maybe a win-now piece, all of that just to get a 33-year-old getting paid a ton of money who doesn't want to be there. I just don't see that happening. Now, if the GM decides to take a risk, if that doesn't work out, that can truly set your franchise back for many, many years. Let's look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They threw it all to get Jimmy Butler. They traded Zach Lavine. They traded the pick that turned into Lauri Markkanen. And what did it leave them? It got them to the playoffs for the first time in how many years? But then they ended up trading Jimmy Butler the very next year because obviously Jimmy wasn't happy in Minnesota, which is the understatement of the century, I think. But point is, they obviously wasted a bunch of draft picks just to get Jimmy Butler and then end up losing him the next year. Fortunately for that team, they had some luck in the lottery. They were able to draft Anthony Edwards number 1 overall, and he looks like he can be a superstar, which that should kind of help Portland to motivate them to want to trade Dame sooner because it will help them get out of the mediocrity that they are currently stuck in, which is the worst place to be in sports. I really think it's important that they pick a direction, either build around Dame or let him go. They're obviously not trying to build around Dame. They just drafted a 19-year-old. So let Dame go, try to tank, get a better pick next year, and really try to stop delaying the inevitable if you're Portland, which is rebuilding. A lot of people may be saying that Joe Cronin's job is on the line based on the package he gets back for Dame. I honestly don't believe that. Anytime a star player demands a trade, they're putting their GM in a difficult situation. It's very hard to get a package of equal return. In fact, it never happens. Getting fair value for a star player never happens. So I think Joe Cronin should be better judged based off how well he implements his direction of the team. But first, he has to pick a direction. And not picking a direction is something that I think is very, very harmful to the future of the Trailblazer organization. Because as I said earlier, he's really delaying the inevitable, which is now sticking them in the middle of the league, just the middling pack, which is the worst place to be in sports. Not bad enough to get a super high lottery pick, which they ended up getting last year, but they had some luck in the lottery. But you're also not good enough to really contend. They have to pick a direction. That's not something I believe Joe Cronin has a proper understanding of at the moment, because even at his last press conference, they asked what kind of pieces he might want from Lillard, and he said, hey, maybe a couple of picks, maybe a couple of win-now players, maybe a couple of young talent to rebuild. He really doesn't seem to be sure exactly what he wants, and I think that's a problem. And there may be a lot of Portland fans that say, hey, the main reason we don't like Miami's package is because of Tyler Herro, and we have a lot of guards at the moment. I don't personally believe that's the right way to look at it, because as a rebuilding team, you don't get players for fit. You get the best players possible, and then you figure out the rest later. Because who's to say that Tyler Herro isn't or will become a better player than Anthony Simmons? You don't know. Either way, if you get both of them in the system, you could trade one of the two down the line. Maybe you bring in Tyler Herro. He averages 25 points per game as more of a leader on that team. Next thing you know, you could trade Tyler Herro for 2 first-round picks. So the most important thing, I think, is getting the guys in your system and then figuring out the rest later. I think the Charlotte Hornets, for example, made a terrible mistake during the draft. They drafted Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson because they already had LaMelo Ball. But that team sucks. They are rebuilding. You draft the best player available. And if Scoot Henderson turns into a superstar like I think he will, and Brandon Miller's just an above-average starter, that team messed up. I mean, think about if the Heat would have drafted Chris Kaman over Dwayne Wade in 2003 because they already had Eddie Jones. That was a discussion back then. Pat Riley loved his big men. He wanted to get a center on the roster because they did like Eddie Jones. They liked Lamar Odom and the ball handling that he had. But they said, no, our team sucks. Dwayne Wade is the best player available. Get him on this roster. And then what happens? You trade Eddie Jones for Shaq. Lamar Odom was in that deal too. Not saying you would trade Tyler Herro for some superstar later on, but you never know. Maybe Scoot Henderson's an all-star by year 2. Tyler Herro, Anthony Simons, and Shaedon Sharpe can get you a trade for Joel Embiid if he wants out. Now you got a big 2 of Scoot Henderson, Joel Embiid. You never know. That's why I believe as a rebuilding team, the most important thing is to get the pieces in your system. And if you think I'm just some salty Heat fan that wants to fleece the Portland Trailblazers, Well, no. Well, I mean, I would like that. But actually, a lot of what I said today was paraphrased from this article on SB Nation from a Portland Trailblazers writer on Blazers Edge. The man's name is Dave Deckard, and he basically said, you know, a lot of what I said today, because I read this article before coming to speak on camera today. Now, I'm not, you know, plagiarizing or nothing, because these are pretty much all things I've said for the last month of Dame Watch. I think we're officially on like day 35 of Dame Watch. But it was nice to see that actually a Portland, you know, Trailblazers fan felt the same way I did. Of course, I think he's looking at it from an unbiased perspective, but maybe that's because I'm biased. That's why I wanted to come here today with more of just a conversational video like I was saying at the beginning. So make sure to let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. If you are a Heat fan or a Trailblazers fan or a fan of any other team, leave some trade packages down below, because I do want to make a video reacting to comments, trade packages. So it doesn't have to be to Miami. If you're a Portland fan and you don't like Miami's package, comment a package you think would make sense for Brooklyn or Boston or another team, because I'd like to react to those. I think it'd be pretty fun. But other than that, that's all I got for this video. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe so the algorithm can boost this out to everybody. Tomorrow, I have an amazing podcast with Mr. Royal A. Shepherd that I'll be dropping probably around noon. It's a 50-minute episode. We talk about everything. And if you know Royal, he's a hilarious guy. So we have a great time. Subscribe so you don't miss that. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Boulevard next to D-Wade. I'ma build you a stature. Haters going at ya. Talking about catcher. Y'all ain't even real. Can't fill out the capture. Freak accident. Wrist fracture, just wait for the hero come back like a back shot. Haters keep taking it personal, they insecure and they thinking they hurt you. You earned your success, so their hate's ineffective, but I wanna rap from their perspective.